Well, hello. Welcome to this week's episode of Belonging in Classrooms. My name is Heather Anderson. It's just me today. We'll be back with guests before you know it. But I really feel like it's important at the beginning of a school year. Listen, I am a sucker for the beginning of a new school year. I love everything about it. I love the bulletin boards and the labels and the fresh, shiny, unscratched floors and sharpening pencils. I just love back to school. I just really wanted to take a moment and set the stage for what are we going to do this year? What are we about? What is the Advancing Equity Coalition up to? What is Belonging in Classrooms up to? Just really set the stage for where is Minneapolis Public Schools? But I want to start with a story. And really the story sort of explains the whole way that I frame the work that I do in our district. So my kiddos were little. They were first graders, wiggly teeth and missing teeth. And they were maybe on their second day of school and they hopped off the bus and they were both crying. There's no point in going to school tomorrow because our recess is already gone for the rest of the week. Oh, you know how that feels when your kids come home upset. And of course, everything inside of me was like, they can't do that. You're little and I will have a word with that teacher. And, got very, very upset. When my partner came home, we talked about it and he said, I think we need to think of ourselves as partnering with the schools, both when they're doing well and when they're not. And so we need to approach this like we're in partnership with this educator. So we sent her an email and said, the kids came home this way. How can we support you? It sounds like the room has been a little loud. Can we be of a help to you? Well, it turns out that educator was new to the district, that she was required to do a lot of testing, that she was feeling the stress of it and she couldn't hear and she had the biggest class she'd ever had. And she really just needed some support to get through that testing. And we were able to go in and help out with the classroom and volunteer in that way and really just help her get through that testing. And that's really been the way that we've approached all of the years of our children being in school, is that we are in partnership, both when our district does well and when our district needs to do better. We are there not just to criticize what they're not doing, but also to support them, because we know that public institutions and public schools are underfunded and they need us to show up in a loving, yep, we can do this with you sort of way. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite mentors early on said, your job as a parent in school is to be the first to bring the muffins and the first to hold their feet to the fire when they need to do better. And I love that analogy, but I try to bring the muffins first. So I think it's really important to just share that really the heartbeat of the Advancing Equity Coalition is to build relationships and community engagement with parents, educators, and students in order to improve the experiences and outcomes of students of color in Minneapolis Public Schools. That is why we exist as an organization. That's why we work in coalition. That's why we show up at the school board meeting. And that is why we are here. And in order to do that, in order to show that, look, this district has long struggled to do any sort of quality community engagement, to enter into relationship with parents and with educators in a meaningful way. And we hope through our modeling of doing community engagement in a different way, at the Advancing Equity Coalition, we really believe that engagement is relationship. It is not a survey. It is not a thing that we do. It is the way we show up together. So when we are talking to families or working in coalition or in meetings with our district, we want to enter into relationship while we're trying to get the things that we want for our kids. It is always both. And so it's just important to understand the backdrop of what's happening inside of Minneapolis Public Schools right now. So just want to sort of set the stage so you know where we're coming from. We have had lowering attendance for years. We're not unlike other urban districts in this way. We have buildings for about 50,000 students, and we're sitting right at about 28,000 students, right? We have a budget crisis like many other urban school districts and actually some suburban school districts, as the COVID money has run out, as our attendance has declined, as inflation has skyrocketed for things like transportation and food. Our budgets have not increased. And so we are facing a $110 million deficit this school year for this school year's budgets, right? So, and then we have a staffing crisis. That's what principals say, that they are both unable to hire everyone that they need, and that because of budget cuts, they're having to bring in class sizes larger than they want, right? So that's like kind of the backdrop that's happening. Against all of this, we have a school board that has not necessarily shared with us where we're headed. I think they don't know if closing schools is the way that we help this budget crisis happen. I think some board members think we don't need to. Some board members are convinced and have been talking about it for a long time. And so I really don't know. What I do know is this. I know that deadline for writing those budgets is going to come up for our district, and that they're going to have to wrestle with those decisions. And I worry for our children, our educators, our principals, and how, like when I look at some of the schools and some of the things that have been cut, I worry about where we cut more from. And that's what really keeps me up at night, is like, how are we going to do another budgets with less if we don't do something drastically different? And no one at this point knows what that drastically different thing is in a way that they're like saying and leading it. I also know that as my experience for being out in community and doing the work of community engagement all summer long, many parents are nervous about where to send their kiddos to school because they don't know if their child's school is going to close. And that unknown place that we've been in as a community for a long time now is really starting to wear on our community. And so that is the backdrop under which we are going to work on sharing both the strength of our district with you and highlighting the weaknesses of our district with you for the sake of improving experiences of students of color. So I can't wait to be with you, to introduce some of the amazing guests that we have lined up for you already this season. You are going to hear from students. You are going to hear from principals. You are going to hear from transportation folks. You are going to hear from so many amazing humans in this district. And I get to be there with you. So welcome to this season of Belonging in Classrooms. Who knew? Season 2. Here we are, like a legit thing again. Can't wait to learn with you about all of the amazing humans and all of the beautiful things. And we're going to get to hear those lessons together this season on Belonging in Classrooms.